good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And excuse John's phone, it's very loud. I'll have to get him to move that. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Radio.W.O.R.K.S, and I'm your forever young host, Kim. Unfortunately, we're having some technical difficulties this morning, so Marina's unable to join us, sadly. But this morning, I had said to her that what I'd like to talk about is your to-be list, as she will often talk about to-be lists. And I think it's very easy for us to write a to-do list. Most of us have got into a habit of writing a to-do list, and those of us who are really organised probably write one before we go to bed with maybe 5 things we need to achieve the next day. And so that when we get up, we're bang on there and start doing those 5 things immediately, she says. But actually, I think when you ask people what they want to do, or when you ask people what they would like to have, they're very easy things for people to answer. So they'll probably have a list of things that they want to do. So they want to maybe, like in my case, I'd like to walk the Pennines. I'd like to learn to speak French much better than I can, because at the moment I can just about order food and coffee, but it'd be nice to kind of speak more conversationally. I'd like to play an instrument, and at the moment that's completely not happening. And I'd like to take a ceramics class because I love working with clay in my hands. There are many things that I can say I'd like to do. There are many places I'd like to visit. There are many activities that I'd like to try, like scuba diving. I've never been scuba diving, and I've always fancied trying that. And I'd like to climb a mountain. I've been up quite large hills, but I've never really been up a proper mountain. So there are many things that I can say, yes, I'd like to do those. And then there's a list of things that I would like to have, although actually for me, I think I struggled more with the list of things to have than I thought I would, because aside from having a home that's a little bit larger than the one we've got at the moment, actually I really enjoy living where I do, although I might also accept going and living in Bath, because that's an amazing place and I went to college there and I love it. So there are several places I wouldn't mind living, but this one is definitely high on the list. And actually, aside from the house not being that big, since I don't actually plan on spending all of my time actually sitting in it, it's not that big a problem in many ways. But I would like a dream home. I'd like a car, because currently our car broke down and we're not bothering to get that one fixed. We're going to get a newer one. So at the moment we're between cars, so a car would be nice. And I am trying to lose weight, so I'd like some really nice new clothing to fill up my wardrobe with very tiny, beautiful clothing that is going to fit me soon. And shoes. I have a fetish for shoes. I love shoes, so I would definitely like sparkly shoes and things like that. But actually, in terms of objects, apart from things that I would use, so a new computer would be useful, because this one's probably going to wear out soon. We've had it a couple of years, and actually it would be useful to have an iPad. I'd love an iPad, because you can stuff one in your bag and take it wherever you are. But things that for the most part I don't really have to have, I can live without, and that although they'd be nice, they're not going to change my life, although the house would definitely change my life, and the car will make it a bit easier. Well, it will make it a bit easier, because we'll get one shortly. We're just organising it. So those things, in some respects, are not important. So I found it a bit of a struggle to find things that I felt were worthy of going on my list, really, because I'm not a particularly materialistic person. However, the bit that I think is really quite hard to do is not think of things that we want to do or have, but to think of things we want to be. And so my question to you is, who do you want to be? What are you going to write on my to-be list to be today? And today I'm going to be busy because I need to sort out my banner ready for next week. And I'm going to try on my dress and make sure that it's beautiful and fits me, and that it doesn't, that it isn't getting too big, because I've been losing weight, but I think it's okay. I did try it on last week. So I'm going to be doing that, and maybe buying some sparkly shoes to go with it. I'm not sure about that. I might do. And I think probably organising some business cards, things like that. So today I'm going to be busy working on things that are important to me for next week for the W.O.R.K.S ceremony. And so therefore that also implies that I'm going to be an author. And actually, while we were on the subject of authors, I met a publisher last week, and he was there with one of his writers, and they were talking about the difference between being an author and being a writer. And they said that being an author was when you have one genre that you talk about, that's your shtick, if you like, and that everything you write is related to that genre. And that the difference between being an author and being recognised for writing in that genre and being a writer is that writers might write about all kinds of different things. So they might choose to write sci-fi, they might choose to write novels, or they might choose to write non-fiction, and it will all be by the same person. So some authors like J.K. Rowling have chosen to write Harry Potter, who chose to write the Harry Potter books under one name, and chose to write some adult books under the name of Faith. Partly because she said, she didn't want people buying it because she was J.K. Rowling and had written Harry Potter books, but also partly because it's a step outside of the Harry Potter regime. So actually, she is an author, but she's also a writer because she's got the other side going on there. So other authors that have done that have been Ian Banks. He's got some books that are written under Ian Banks and some that are written under Ian M. Banks. And some of them are sci-fi novels and some of them are ordinary life, sort of normal life-based novels, if you like. And you can tell the difference. The sci-fi ones, I think it's had the M in. And so yeah, it's not uncommon for people to change genres, but I think it's difficult if they're actually known as an author of a particular style to step outside of that. So I actually want to be a writer, not an author, which I never realised until I had that conversation about, what made the difference between you being a writer and an author, because I've got some other books in mind that actually are not related to the Forever Young banner. So they're on my to-do list, but they will be done purely for my own pleasure and as a recreational activity, not as or not for the same reasons that I've written the other books, which is to kind of help people to feel, you can feel younger and have a more fulfilling life. And so those books were written because I'm passionate about helping people, and the others will be written because I'm passionate about the subjects and they're just fun. So I want to be an author of the Forever Young series, but I want to be a writer with the other um, items on my list. But for me, although I say I'd like to write, I'd like to play an instrument, I would never put myself under the title of musician, because I would be doing that purely for my own pleasure and never to any great standard, I'm sure, because I don't have enough time to set aside to become good enough to feel that I would ever fit into that category, because I've got so many other things on my to-do list that I want to achieve. And the point about this is that I've looked at my to-do list and I've created a kind of 25-year plan, and I've broken it down and had to think about what I want to achieve and when I might want to achieve some of those things. And so it's an active decision on my part that I will learn conversational French, but I'm never going to be speaking like a native, and that I'd like to be able to plonk away at a piano, but other than playing kind of for fun and for the pleasure of people kind of singing along if they can bear my singing, I don't particularly ever want to be playing on stage, and unless something dramatic changes and I'm suddenly very talented at it and I didn't realise. And I'd like to be able to do pottery because I love the feeling of the clay in my hands, but I don't want to be a potter because seriously being locked away in a shed with cold clay is a wonderful thing to do occasionally, but it's not what I want to spend the whole of my life doing. So I think even if there are things on your list you really want to do and enjoy, you don't have to give yourself those titles. So you don't have to be those things. So I'd like to be somebody who enjoys pottery in the same way that I'm somebody who enjoys wine or enjoys walking or enjoys reading. And I'd like to ask you to spend some time, sit down when you get some time, and close your eyes and think about what your life would look like if it was perfect. If the world was perfect and your life was perfect, what would your life look like? Think about where you would be and who you would be with. And that will give you some clues as to what your to-be list ought to contain, what your to-be list should have written on it. Because I think it's not just about your to-be list, but actually about your goals. And it's very easy to get caught up in your day-to-day life. And we tend to start doing. And Marina will say that you end up being a human doing instead of human being. And the word really, because we absolutely get stuck into activities, and today activities, but they're going to be activities that are all related to what I love doing. So actually, that won't stop me being. But it can be very easy to get caught up in minutiae and doing stuff that needs to kind of get dealt with that we don't really care about. And actually, on some level, perhaps we should set aside for a little while and give ourselves time to kind of breathe and think. And when we're in that still moment, consider, are we the person that we want to be? Are we on the path to being the person we'd ultimately like to be? And if you're not on the path to be the person you ultimately want to be, that's much worse than not being on the path to having stuff you want, because the person you want to be is so very, very valuable to you, and the stuff is ephemera and could be here today but gone tomorrow. You could have the nicest computer in the world but spill a cup of tea on it. You could have the nicest car in the world, but somebody could smash into it and spoil the paintwork. But if you are the person that you want to be, there's very little that can ever happen to stop you being that person. So I'm going to sign out now and give you some time to go away and think, am I the person that I want to be? Am I heading towards being the person who I most want to be in the world? And if not, what am I going to do about it? Because there's nothing more important in the world. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and I will speak to you again soon. And if you've not already booked your tickets, I'm going to be on the red carpet at the Authors Award ceremony on Tuesday and Wednesday. And Marina still has some tickets available, I think. Certainly, I think I have some space on my table still. So if you haven't booked them, do book them. Have a wonderful week, and hopefully I'll see you on the red carpet. Goodbye.